Yes, what's happening, my people? What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the home of the Premier League champions. You already know. I don't have to tell you much. We're vibing with that all summer long, people. I said we're going to start incorporating that into the intro. And yes, you are here. You are at the home of the Premier League champions. So welcome back. Like and subscribe, as we always say. We do our thing over here. Like and subscribe, hype the video up if you haven't done so already. We're here bringing you guys content still regularly throughout the World Cup, even though club football season is over. Obviously, we now know that the new fixtures are out, which we'll be touching on in a couple upcoming episodes. But yes, it is World Cup season. That doesn't mean we're forgetting the wave that we are on. We are still the Premier League champions, and we're going to run with that for a very, very long time. Um, but listen, this video that I'm going to do quickly is about Morgan Rogers. And he seems like he can be a good fit for Arsenal more so than we think. A scary prospect for the opposition if Rogers is in our team and how he changes us and how he transforms us. And he's going to be a different element to the kind of player that we currently already have, Morgan Rogers. And that's if we sign him, by the way. There's still a lot of work to be done, but let's kind of talk about, at least from my understanding, where we're at with that deal. Now, Morgan Rogers, the understanding is that he is willing to come to Arsenal, which is great. Personal terms are not going to be a problem. The sticking point, as we would probably know already, is the fee that would have to be agreed with Aston Villa in order for him to come. There is an understanding as well that Aston Villa still do need to sell. Despite them being in the Champions League, they've had some, I think, financial issues over the last couple seasons, and they still are under a bit of pressure to sell and sell for some big money. And obviously, Rodgers is a big asset for them that they can sell for a good amount of coin. Um, and so you know, the fear, I guess, is that the fee is going to be upwards of 100 mil, north of 100 mil, which in today's market, man, for them type of players is just crazy, right? Like Declan Rice, he's easily worth 100 mil. You can understand why for what he's done in his career so far. It's proven justified by him now being a Premier League champion. He's come to us and he's elevated our football club. There's no doubt about it, right? But when the likes of Anderson and these players have tags of 100 mil on them, like Anderson hasn't even done anything near what Rice has done to date in the game, right? To be fair, decent season at Forest. Now all of a sudden he's a 100 million pound midfielder. And the problem for Arsenal is that Villa's going to look at that and they're going to look at what Anderson is being quoted at for a price and say, oh well, Rogers, for a player like Rogers who's in midfield, yes, but he's a game-changing midfielder because as we know, goals win games and the goal scorers, the match winners, the game changers are the ones that earn the big bucks in the team most times, right? So Rogers, who would have a more attacking influence in a football team than an Anderson, right? Somebody who can actually win a match for you, as I said, with goals, with assists, and affect the game where it counts. Them type of players will be going for the big money. So I think Villa would look at Anderson and say, if this guy, is going for 100 mil, somebody who's less proven, you would say as well than Rogers. Rogers is now a Europa League winner. Um, multiple goals across a few seasons now for Villa and assists as well. He puts up the numbers. Somebody like that, should be going for the same price, if not more so than Anderson. That's the fear, right? That the market is just so blown up, it's so inflated that it's ruined things for us and for a lot of clubs who are buying. Villa also know that Arsenal, have the financial power. We do have the funds. Obviously, we're in a strong financial position. Yes, we still need to work on selling ourselves, but in terms of buying, we are in a strong position. There's no secret about that. Champions League money, won the Premier League. We went all the way to the Champions League final. We do have assets that we can sell as well. So we're in a strong financial position, and Villa will know that. So I think it's going to be a hard bargain for them to drive, um, for us to try and get Rodgers out of that football club. Villa's in the Champions League as well, so it's going to be tough. It's going to drag on. Now, the fact that Rodgers wants to come, I think, is a bonus, right? We're gonna have our Arsenal guys tapping him up in the England camp, saying, "Hey, come over to this side, come to the Premier League champions." Um, Again, he himself, Rodgers, wants to move. He, like, in personal terms, is not a problem. That's already been, you know, established by the sources, incredible sources, hand of Arsenal, and so on and so forth. These guys have been coming out and saying, pretty much it's widely reported, right? There's strong links and there's strong reporting on this that it seems factual, right? It really does seem factual that Rogers wants to come. We want Rogers. That's no secret at this point. They say where there's smoke, there's fire. There's fire. Um, So it's almost a foregone conclusion that that is correct. I don't think anyone's doubting that this is legitimate at this point. Again, what is the sticking point is the fee, and that's what would prevent him from coming over. Now, let's look at it from the standpoint of what Rodgers looks like in our team. And I think if you're looking at Rodgers and Arsenal Football Club, you're looking at a player who, like I said, elevates us. Over the last couple of days, we've been hearing that, Arsenal are open to the sale of Martin Odegaard. Whether that's true or not, that's, less credible at this moment in time than where the Morgan Rogers information is coming from. We don't know for a fact, for certain as yet, that Odegaard is up for sale for sure, right? Again, it's silly season, it's the transfer window. You hear these rumors, you hear these things come out. Take it with a pinch of salt, right? Odegaard over the last two seasons has proven to be not the player that he was in the 23-24 season or 22-23 season where he was putting out goals and assists. I think he got one Premier League goal last season, and I think the year before that it was definitely only a handful, not like the double figures that he was putting up again in the 22-23 season, for example. So he's been a shadow of himself for one reason or another, injuries, etc. We're trying to go up a level. Arteta mentioned that we need to be ruthless. He said it after the Champions League final, and I hope being ruthless includes, you know, dispatching of your captain if that's what it takes to go to the next level. Yeah, I know he loves Odegaard, but sometimes again, if you're gonna back your word and you want to be ruthless, I think there's a common consensus for a while now that we do need to upgrade on Odegaard. Again, we saw in the Champions League final. Right, the plan for us now was we got over the line in the Premier League. The plan is now for us to get over the line in the Champions League. I think that's the one that we all want now as fans. That's the next evolution is to win the Champions League. And are you going to win a Champions League final with Odegaard? Is Odegaard going to be that guy? And we saw Odegaard play in the Champions League final, and he didn't turn up for us for one re reason or another. Maybe tactically we didn't play to his strengths as well. We were definitely quite defensive in that final. There's no secret about that. And maybe, Odegaard, he's not naturally, he wants to get on the ball. Maybe he wants to be more on the front foot. We want to have more of the possession, but that wasn't going to be the reality in the case against that PSG team. But you still expected more from him, right? You still expected him to be that outlet on the ball for us to try and get out and win it and hold some possession ourselves. You just didn't see much from him, if anything at all. And in fact, he got hooked. I think shortly after PSG equalized in that Champions League final. So yeah, you don't really hook your best number 10 attacking player, talisman, captain in a cup final when the game is level and you need somebody to win the game, right? That just doesn't happen if Odegaard is that guy. And like I said, he just hasn't shown over the course of a couple of seasons now. You can't keep giving people these chances, big players on big wages of big statures in the club, big status. A couple of years ago, we were comparing this guy to Kevin De Bruyne. 2 seasons now underperforming. How long are we going to keep saying, okay, well, wait for you to get back to your best form? This is football. This is ruthless business. It's professional football. And I think we need to be ruthless even with him. Really and truly, I think we do. So what that looks like now is when it comes to Morgan Rogers, you're talking about a guy now, whilst Odegaard has underperformed in the last 2 seasons, Rogers has gone up levels in the last 2 seasons. Again, his numbers, his goals, his assists, the eye test as well. He's a different number 10 to Martin Odegaard, and maybe it's a difference maker that we need in this team. Somebody who plays in that number 10 position, somebody plays in that midfield position who one has strength, two has ball carrying ability, three has finishing ability, four has eye for a pass, right? And those are just some of his attributes. He's about how tall is he? About 6'2". He's a big boy, Rogers. He's strong. So tailor-made for the Premier League. We've already seen what he's done in the Premier League for Villa, what he's done against us a couple times. I know I don't often see Rice get outrun in midfield, but I remember a couple of seasons ago, Rogers running right through Partey and Rice as if they weren't standing there. Rogers is again, it's not only his ability to run with the ball, but his strength. You can't body him off the ball, right? Odegaard, we've seen him pick up injuries over the last couple of seasons, and I think a lot of that has to do with still the fact that, he's very lightweight, Odegaard. He doesn't get stuck in as much as he would like, a featherweight player more times. Um, yeah, so whilst Odegaard is a distributor and he gives you an element of control and keeping possession and he's tidy and he's safe and 9 times out of 10 he's not going to lose it or he may pick the right pass. Um, Rogers is a different kind of character. He's not as technical on the ball as Odegaard is. Odegaard is a very technical player. There's no doubt about it. But let's not sleep on Rogers' technical ability. I think that's underrated as well. The way he keeps the ball, right? The way he keeps possession with his strength, of course, but also like again with his quick feet. This is very high praise and high comparison, but a couple people have compared him to in stature to the likes of Zidane, right? Somebody who's tall, rangy, lanky midfielder with strength with size, with physicality, but also very silky smooth on the ball. And obviously can score goals from long range, short range, can pick a pass. You know what I mean? So again, comparing him to Zidane is high praise, obviously, but it's more so about the stature and the physical attributes of him that are similar to Zidane and the way Zidane played the game. It's all those things, right? It's the physicality, it's the speed, it's the running ability in midfield, it's the ability to get box to box up and down, and of course the match winning quality, the goal scoring, and the assists, right? When you put up the numbers, the GA, the important stats in the game are goals and assists. Those are the main two important stats. And when you're affecting the game in the right areas where it counts, to score goals or to create goals, right? That's what wins you games. Goals win games, the old boring cliche, but it's the truth. And those type of midfielders who can win you games and win you matches, like a Morgan Rogers, that's those are the kind of players that you need more of in your team. And Odegaard, again, whilst his output has been decreasing the last 2 years, and Morgan Rogers' input has been increasing, to be fair to him. And I think, in a better team, you're going to see a better Morgan Rogers. I think both sides benefit, right? We benefit from having an additional match winner, a stronger player in there, somebody who can create something out of nothing. And then obviously Morgan Rogers benefits and elevates from respectfully going to a better team with better players. From Villa to Arsenal is a step up. That's no secret, right? So I think that just makes it is a match made in heaven. It makes perfect sense. And the question is again, where are you going to play him, right? A lot of people are thinking that he'll come in and play off the left. Maybe that's where Arteta sees him, but I personally would rather not. I think we have a similar kind of player in Eze who does that, kind of that number 10 attacking midfielder who can play on the left. I don't want to stick on a number 10 on the left who's gonna want to come inside and invert because we just lose width. The left wing is a separate situation in itself, in my opinion. We need an out and out left winger, in my personal opinion. You know, whether it's your Barcolas or these kind of players, Nico Williams and Rafael Leao. Not saying we're to get those players, but just somebody of that profile that is will hug the touchline, speedster, quick, pace, is not afraid to beat his man. And obviously, you want the clinical nature at the end, right? Somebody who has an eye for goal. Those left wingers are few and far between right now in the market. But the bottom line is, I want a left wing profile. I don't want somebody who can actually, you can stick him out there like an Eze. We've tried that with Eze, and we need width, we need pace on the wings, we need that, all that running ability. And again, Rogers has that, but he's not an out and out left winger. I don't think you get the best out of Rogers by sticking him on the left because, like I said, naturally he's going to drift inside. We kind of play with inverted fullbacks at times, Calafiori and the likes. So you lose the width if you don't have that touchline hugging winger, somebody who's going to get chalk on their boots, as they say, by hugging the touchline, right? The old expression of getting chalk on your boots. Rogers is going to want to come inside every time. By sticking him out on the left wing, similar to Eze, you remove some of his best qualities, which is being able to drift infield, run past players, dribble past players, get shots off at the top of the box. So I don't want that to be Rogers' profile. And that's why I think that's where, again, where there's smoke, there's fire. A lot of the conversations about Odegaard going could mean that Rogers is a long-term replacement in that number 10 position. And I think that's where we would get the best out of him even if he's playing in the left eight, right? So he's playing in in the central midfield areas, but in the left eight of our midfield three setup, not a left winger, but a left number eight, right? That old Xhaka position that currently Lewis Skelly is occupying. Declan Rice has played there at times. Rogers can play there because you're central. You're maybe coming off the left, which is you like the left channel. You like the left spaces if you're Morgan Rogers, but you're not on the wing. There's a big difference between sticking him out on the wing and being a left eight central midfield player who plays in the left spaces and combines with, the fullback on the left side, the left winger combines with the striker, can cut in on his right a bit and just have some shots from outside the box, inside the box. So that's where I see Morgan Rogers. I see him more of a central player, whether that's, right eight, even right eight, where Odegaard plays, or left eight. Currently for England, I notice a lot of the positions that Rogers takes up is in the right channels as well. So he can play across that midfield, the midfield area, the central midfield areas, whether it's on the left or on the right. Again, like I said, for England, he's in the first game, certainly he combined it well with Jet Spence, with Saka on the right. So he shows that ability to get across the pitch and he eats up the ground, he covers the ground. Obviously, he's a lot quicker than an Odegaard, for example, because he's got the physicality and the physical attributes, covered a lot more ground with his pace and size and strength. So that's definitely something that, you can see the way Arteta plays the game, right? We used to have a bunch of midfielders in the latter Wenger years where, you have your smaller lightweight technical players, kind of similar to Odegaard, to be honest with you. You know, your Santi Cazorlas, your Rosickis, your Halebs, Ozil, Jack Wilshere's and these guys, lightweight players, very, very tidy on the ball. You're seeing in Arteta's teams now, it's more robustness, it's strength, it's power, it's pace, physicality, height, all these things. So I think that's why Rodgers is actually tailor-made for this team because he's not a guy that you're going to bully off the ball, right? Also different to Eze in the sense that because a lot of you can say that Eze and Morgan Rogers have similar attributes, right? Again, match winning quality, can dribble, can shoot from range, can pick a pass. And those things are true. Somebody, again, another similarity between those two is like, you like to come drift off the left. They definitely do have similar qualities in that sense. But where the difference is, where I think Morgan Rogers is better in that sense and where we would benefit is Eze, we know is a moments player, and sometimes he tends to go drifting out of games, similar to an Ozil, to be honest with you. Drift out of games, picks his moments, sometimes looks disinterested. But obviously we know he's not. I'm just saying, just the demeanor, how it looks on the telly when we're watching it. Eze has a tendency to sometimes drift in and out of games. He doesn't always get on the ball and make things happen. He makes things happen in moments sometimes. I think Rodgers is a player that's, again, he's more combative, definitely. I think he's more switched on defensively, so he has that work rate. Therefore, obviously, why another reason why Arteta likes him because he has that work rate. He has the energy to get up and down the pitch. Rodgers, he has the physicality. He'll get stuck in duels. He'll track back, but also I think he'll get on the ball. He'll want to get on the ball more. He won't go hiding. He'll look to pick up the ball and he'll look to be the man to make things happen. We've seen him do that for Villa numerous times, as I've mentioned already. He'd done it against us. And so I think that's something that I think bodes well for him and for the profile that Arteta is looking at in the next evolution of our midfield is more players like a Rodgers who want to get on the ball. They don't go hiding, they don't drift in and out of games. I think Rodgers is a presence from minute 1 to 90. You'll notice him. He's not gonna go hiding. He whether he's having a good game or not, he's gonna make himself known. He's gonna put himself about. He's just a nuisance to defend against and to keep up with if you're the opposing midfield. And then and you look at that and you see him alongside a Declan Rice in our midfield and a Mulu Skelly or whoever else it is. And you're seeing now legs, you're seeing strength, you're seeing size, you're seeing physicality. And you're definitely not going to bully this midfield. I think already without even seeing it live in action, you just like the look of Rogers and Rice together in midfield and whoever that third midfielder is, like I said, Lewis Skelly, etc. But just Rogers and Rice alone in midfield, those are two players who, like I said, you're just not going to physically bully them. You're not gonna outmuscle them. You're not gonna beat them with strength and size and pace. So you're adding that extra layer of strength to this team, an already robust, strong Arsenal side. And so that's what I like. Again, more height for the set pieces. People may laugh at that, but these are crucial details, right? So yeah, man, Rogers, the profile of him looks good in this team, and it does make a lot of sense. You can see why and how he's an Arteta player. You can see him, like I said, I personally would, yes, he can do a job on the left, but I still go out and still buy me that out and out left winger. You need to do that still. If you want to play him there, but he can't be the permanent solution on the left wing, in my opinion. You got to get him in more central areas, Rogers. And the versatility obviously is something that Arteta loves as well, right? Because Rogers can cover a multiple positions. He can play left eight, right eight, box to box, left wing. Heck, some people are even saying he can be a false nine inverted striker, just because of, again, the physical attributes that he has and the finishing ability, let's be honest, that he has. The numbers that he's been putting up excite me. I want more players who can do it in open play, who can create something out of nothing, who can have shots from range and it's rifling into the back of the net. We want to see that more next season because teams are going to figure us out. So we need different variations and ways of playing other than, playing in and around the box, getting crosses into the box, set pieces, etc. We need to mix it a bit. And Rogers is that definitely that player that can help us mix it and give us something different that we didn't have last season. And again, I'm looking at a Champions League final. I'm looking at cup finals. Guys like him who just make the difference, things that we lacked this season. Again, I want a nice, tidy technical player like a Martin Odegaard, but I also need you to affect the final. And sorry, I need you to, yeah, affect the final third, essentially, right? Odegaard, it's all well and good keeping the ball, but again, when you're playing in that number 10 attacking position, let's be honest, Odegaard is our most attacking when he's on the pitch. Obviously, him and Eze don't play a lot together. It's either one or the other. So when Odegaard is on the pitch with Zubimendi and Declan Rice, or with Declan Rice and Maslow Skelly, Odegaard is the most advanced of the three, and he's expected to be the most effective in the final third when it comes to chance creation, when it comes to assists, goals, conversion rate, um, that literally, help us win games. Because as we've alluded to, those are the most important stats in the game. Goals and assists, they affect the game. They make the difference on the scoreline, and they're the difference between winning trophies and not. And we saw that in moments from Odegaard this season. We saw it against West Ham. He assisted, um, Trossard's crucial goal. But, you need more of that. You need that on a more consistent basis. That's what separates the good from the great, right? I don't need you to do it in 1, 2 moments. I need you to do it more consistently throughout the season. I need you to do it. I need you to have more good games than bad games. I need you to have more great games than mediocre games, right? And if we're not seeing that from you anymore, then it's kind of time to move on and try something new and look at a profile like a Rodgers. And if this happens, I'm excited to see how he's gonna change the dynamic. Because again, look, without even watching him play, without the eye test, you like his numbers alone. You like how many goals he scored, games he's won for Villa. And that's again a Villa side who, respectfully, is not of the level of Arsenal Football Club. So how much more can he have to give? What level can he go up to when he's playing with better players and a better team? I like it. So listen, let's see what happens. There's a long, long way to go with this one, but the sight of him in our team is scary, right? It's scary for a number of reasons. It gives us another attacking dimension that we didn't have previously, and that's what we're looking to add to this team. We're looking to add difference makers in the final third because we need consistent goals and consistent goal scorers. The more goal scorers you put in this team, the more match winners you put in this team, it makes it even more difficult to beat. Why? Because we're not relying on winning 1-0 from a set piece and defending. Where now we're getting guys who can actually score goals, who can put us up 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 in games, give us more of an outlet, right? Right now we're talking about the imbalance, and it's weird because we scored one of the most goals as a team in the Premier League last season. But when we all watch football with our eyes, we know that Madueke individually, Martinelli individually, Trossard of this inconsistency, Saka not up to speed. We're looking at these guys, Gabriel Jesus, and we're saying, individually, none of you guys are going to get me the close to 20 goals a season that I need. Rodgers feels like a player who can do that based on what he's done in his career so far with Villa. And like I said, it's as simple as that, right? To balance out the squad more, we have brilliant defenders. I need more brilliant players in the final third, attacking players that will make me feel like, yeah, man, if we add goals to this attack and consistent individual brilliance to this attack, the way our defense is already probably world class and one of the best, if not the best in the world, you make our attack something similar, and you make our attack one of the best in Europe. There's your Champions Leagues, right? When you add those kind of players who you'll get goals, when you can't stop us from scoring and you can't stop our attacking players, and then you also can't put the ball in the back of our net because our defense is too good. Again, balance, right? We're looking to make that's the elevation that we need to become the best. Give me attacking players that are similar to quality like we have in our defense, and then we're cooking. I think Morgan Rogers just definitely feels like a player who can do that and be that and go up a level. He's a good age, and I think he's mid-20s, early to mid-20s, if I'm not mistaken. I have to fact check that, but again, we're not signing a player who's past his best. His best is still yet to come, so he can go up even more gears. That's what it's all about this window is bringing attacking players into the squad that most players would want around the world, just like most teams would want around the world, just like most teams would want, pretty much any of our defenders. You have Real Madrid looking at Hincapié and Calafiori. The once upon a time they wanted Saliba. Gabriel's world class starts for Brazil. How many teams would want Gabriel if he was available? Timber the same. I need more of that in my attacking players. I need the best players. I need to know that the best players or the best clubs in the world are coming for my attacking players as well. I don't think at the moment the best teams in the world, sorry, are coming for our attacking players like that, unless it's maybe a Saka when Saka's fit. But how many Real Madrids, Bayern Munich's, Barcelona's are coming for our attacking players at the moment, the same way they would come for our defense in a heartbeat. Are they coming for any of our attacking players to at least not like, to start, to be regulars in their team? Maybe you want Martinelli as a backup to Luis Diaz, for example, at Bayern Munich, but you guys are really, pushing the boat out to get any of our Arsenal's attacking players at the moment, to start in your team and to win you trophies? Don't think so, right? Rogers, like I said, feels like a player that could be an asset to any one of those teams. And put him in our team, we instantly go up a level. Instantly go up a level, in my opinion. And he goes up a level as well. let's see what happens, right? Watch the space. There's still a lot yet to be done. But it does look exciting, and it looks like he's our top target. And yeah, man, I'm curious to see how it's gonna pan out. I'm pretty relaxed. We're Premier League champions. I went into previous transfer windows at the back of poor seasons, desperate for us to do business early, show us, intent and give us something to be excited about. But as of right now, I'm quite relaxed, to be honest with you. I trust the club and what they're doing. Berta's in the door. Let's see what the club do, and let's see how the Rodgers saga plans out. If he is our primary target, how much do we really want him? Do we treat it like a Declan Rice and say, no matter what money it costs, get him because we see this guy as the face and the future for the club in the next few years? Or do we say, if he's too hefty, we'll turn our attention elsewhere. We'll get a similar player, similar profile, and go a different direction. Let's see how much they really want Morgan Rogers. Let's see what Villa, how what kind of hardball they're going to play price wise and otherwise, knowing we play them early on in the season too, so they could hold out and say, you know what, we'll wait until after we play you guys second game of the season and then sell you a Morgan Rogers. Literally maybe bring it down to the final day of the window, bring it to the wire because imagine they sell us Rogers. And Rogers turns up for us against them at Villa Park, and he's a difference. That takes the game away from them. So I don't know. All these things, there's still so much left to sort out and talk about and discuss. 2 months until the season starts, obviously. So much to do left in the transfer window. Barely even started. Um, so let's just be patient and see. But yeah, man, just a quick video update from me, just about Rogers and what he can do and bring to our team. I think it would be an exciting signing. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. As I always say, like and subscribe. Hype the videos if you haven't done so already. Like and subscribe as it really, really does help us out. As I always say, especially at this time when club football is not on at the moment, but the World Cup is kicking, and we got a lot of Arsenal involvement in there, including a potential target in Rodgers himself playing with the England boys, playing with Arsenal's England boys. So keep it locked here. We'll keep updating you guys, sending out content and hope you guys enjoyed the video. So stick around, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. I've been CJ from the Gunners Corner, and I'm out of here, folks. Later.